Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on brands. Brands that are getting political for some reason. Um, and let me just state from the outset, this is all just my opinion. I'm just talking about stuff and how I feel about them. I'm not making a statement on any of these particular products per se. You could choose to use them or not use them. You could choose them to boycott them if you feel that their actions are bad. I personally try to boycott products that I feel are, overstepping their bounds, staying out of their lanes, like Gillette. Gillette, I don't want to use anymore. I'm not sure I can really ban Gillette from my life because I got a Gillette razor. I don't know if I want to buy a whole new deal just to get razors, but then when I think of how expensive the ones I buy are, I might. I don't know. As you can see, I don't shave very often, so the razors that I have lasted me forever. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I finally do run out, but Gillette's woke commercials have made me think twice about them. But we'll see. Maybe by the time I'm ready to buy some new razors, I'll just be like, who cares? But here are some of the brands that recently came out with some political statements. You tell me if you think you would support them or not support them. First up is Axe body spray. Now, the reason they commented, they had an actual reason to comment during the riots. Because someone posted a picture left by the mob, a lonely can of Axe body spray. And I can understand why the Axe Body Spray Corporation would immediately respond to that, because they don't want to be associated with this S show. So they tweeted, "We'd rather be lonely than with that mob. Axe condemns yesterday's act of violence and hate at the Capitol. We believe in the democratic process and the peaceful transition of power." I think the acts of violence and hate, being a little hyperbolic, but I can understand why they would put that statement out. Personally, I don't use Axe body spray, so whatever. But, I don't think they're trying to be woke. I think they did that in order to we got to disassociate ourselves from this. Because otherwise people are going to make jokes about, bottles being there, I guess. I could see why they would worry. Something called Business Roundtable. I don't even know what it is. But they released a full statement saying, "After the unconscionable and tragic events we witnessed, it could not be more clear that it is time for the nation and lawmakers to unite around President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. It is only together that we can move forward to successfully confront our nation's many challenges. Chief among them is ending the pandemic and ensuring a safe, rapid economic recovery." I don't know what Business Roundtable is, so I don't think I use it for anything. I assume it's some sort of business software, I guess. I kind of don't know why they released this statement. I mean, they don't seem to have anything to do with the riots, so I don't know if anybody was sitting around going, "Gee, I wonder what Business Roundtable thinks about all this." This one, though, is, to me, a bit odd. The Coca-Cola Company released this statement. And, again, it's not like they were throwing Coke bottles at the Capitol or the cops there that I saw. What happened in Washington, D.C., says the statement, is an offense to the ideals of American democracy. Whoa. For nearly 250 years, the United States of America has stood as a beacon for democracy, shining a light for the world on how differing perspectives and ideas can strengthen society. Okay. We are all stunned by the unlawful and violent events that unfolded in Washington, D.C. Now, see, there you're making judgments. You seem to be passing judgments on what happened, and there hasn't been a full investigation. I think you're putting a cart before the horse there. With the election results now certified, we have faith in American democratic institutions to ensure a peaceful transfer of power and allow the U.S. to move forward together as one nation. It's not too bad, but it's like, why did Coke bother to, release a statement? I guess because of the attention. I guess this is an opportunity to gather up attention. But it seems to me that, personally, I stopped drinking soda completely. I don't drink any soda anymore. Maybe once in a great moon I'll have like a root beer or even a Coke, but and I do prefer Coke over Pepsi, truth be told. But reading something like this, it's like it kind of turns me off of Coke a little bit, because it's like, why are you dipping your toe into this water? Why are you coming out with this? Like, it would be different if, like, I don't know, there was a big Coke sign and it fell on a Capitol Hill policeman, or, the Capitol Hill guys picked up a Coke machine and threw it through the doorway or something. That didn't happen. So I kind of understand why Axe Body Spray would respond, because one of their products were there and they don't want that association. This seems like, hey, pay attention to us for a moment. We're going to make a statement about this because it's happening, I guess. Maybe they genuinely feel this way and felt compelled to react, but it seems odd to me that a soda company would feel this compelled to react to a big news story. There's only, to me, getting political with your brand, there's only a downside. There's never really an upside, because what it does is it divides people. And some people are going to agree with it, some people are going to disagree, and then some people aren't going to care. And then some people are going to go, oh, you're getting political, and they're just going to walk away. So I think there's only a downside to this sort of marketing strategy, unless you're desperately trying to appeal to a side you feel is bigger and untapped, I guess. Chevron tweeted, "We call for the peaceful transition of the U.S. government. The violence in Washington, D.C. tarnishes a 2-century tradition of respect for the rule of law. We look forward to engaging with the President-elect Biden and his administration to move the nation forward." That also seems like an odd statement. I mean, I guess Chevron's a big enough company that they might have some dealings with the government, but it makes it sound like Chevron is almost part of the government. And I'm not sure why you're, again, making this statement. Why these brands are getting so high and mighty. Maybe not these brands, but certainly there have been brands in the past that have done things that haven't been exactly, shall we say, I shouldn't say they're illegal, but they there have been major companies that have colluded with the American government to do certain things. Like there were certain food companies in South America that did some shenanigans, which you can Google. And so that's not good. It's not good at all. So that Chevron feels compelled to talk right now, it just seems odd to me. It just seems odd. And Chevron's not like Coke, where it's like, well, if Coke jumps in on what's popular, then maybe their sales go up. But Chevron, like, I guess they have a few gas stations, but I don't think anybody's going to see this and go, ooh, let me go to Chevron for gas. It's a little different. And then here's Verizon. We condemn any type of senseless violence and rioting that we saw yesterday. It's just unacceptable. Haas Vestberg, Verizon Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. Yes, we hate bad things and only like good things, like puppies and candy. I mean, stunning and brave, Verizon, I guess. It's just weird. It just feels like a pile-on. Here's the Boeing company weighing in. From our president and CEO, David Calhoun. And this sounds more personal then. Boeing proudly serves a vital role with our U.S. government, and they do. These guys are close to the government and need to be. U.S. government customer in defending our democracy here and around the world. The vote of the people and the peaceful transition of government are core to our democracy. Our company has a long history of working with elected officials over many years. In the spirit of bipartisanship, we encourage them to work with President-elect Biden to unify our nation. As a more of a general statement. This one, I can't really criticize all that much because they do work closely with the government, and this is more of a general, let's all just get along kind of statement. And really, you can't really boycott Boeing anyway. So, but that's a good statement. Good, I'd say that's an okay statement. And here's Bank of America. Today's appalling events in our nation's capital. Ooh, big words. Underscore the urgent need for all Americans to unite behind one of our most cherished principles, the peaceful transition of power that has happened without interruption since our country's founding. We must move forward together peacefully, respectfully, and with a singular shared focus on American ideals. Brian Moynihan, Chief Executive Officer. That's not too bad, I guess. Not too bad of a statement. I don't know. It's weird to me coming from Bank of America. Yeah, Bank of America, in my mind, has not exactly had great PR, to some people. Because, back in the Occupy Wall Street days, they were seen as one of the many villains, because they held mortgages and there were, I don't know, some instances. I don't remember them all, but I don't really see why these guys are weighing in at all, but there you go. Okay, and then Ben and Jerry's. This is the one, but we'll get to that in a minute. I wanted to I went to Coca-Cola's. I was trying to find the statement for Coca-Cola, but I stumbled upon their, I guess it's some sort of mission statement. And they had like a section, behaviors we focus on, which I thought was odd, getting back to Coca-Cola. And curious, empowered, inclusive, agile. So under inclusive, they say, leverage our broad diversity of people, global networks, and learnings. And then two brains are better than one most often. Not really, in my view. Not even most often. The problem with this whole two brains are better than one philosophy has plagued, I think, a lot of people. I would have clients sometimes who would say, well, I've decided to hire two writers instead of just you. So I've got this other writer, and you're going to work with him, and then the script will be even better. And that was always a disaster, right? Because it was like, I'm suddenly supposed to work with a total stranger, and he's suddenly supposed to work with me. It can take years for two different creative people to work together and really mesh. And then you just keep adding people. That just makes it more complicated. I actually had a potential client. The whole deal kind of fell apart. They were going to bring in like 6 writers and to work on this like children's TV show. And the idea was like this. It was like, well, more people, it'll be better, right? If we just get a bunch of writers, well, yeah, this will be awesome. And I was just like, no, it won't. It'll be like all over the place because who's in charge? Whose ideas get to the forefront? Who gets to choose all this? Like somebody has to be in charge. And that's part of the problem with this idea of massive inclusivity. Like some people, when you say inclusivity, they just mean, oh, well, you got to include, a diverse workforce. You got to just not discriminate and have people of other, cultures and races in your organization, especially if you have a big one like that can help you, right? Because, maybe you got some guy from marketing who's from a culture that you've never marketed to, and he might have some insight there or whatever. But, like, it's easy to go overboard with that. And really, there's only so much you can glean from one person, right, in that area. So, yeah, you could have every person in the rainbow and try to hit every niche market you can, but eventually it just gets overloaded. And the idea that more and more people just definitely going to make it better. It's just not true. It's just not true. So I think this is a weird thing that has permeated not just Coca-Cola, but I think a lot of companies. That's just my personal feeling, Coca-Cola. Don't get all angry at me. And then what was the other thing? Okay, so then there was this Ben and Jerry statement. I wanted to end on Ben and Jerry's. Because this statement is big, and it is, in my view, very woke. Ben and Jerry tweets. This is from January 7th. Yesterday was not a protest. It was a riot to uphold white supremacy. Whoa! Back it up, Ben and Jerry's. Look, I get it. You guys are woke, but you're really, really taking a side here. And really you are saying to 74 million potential customers, you're a bunch of racists, don't ever buy our ice cream. I mean, that's what you're basically saying to them. The tweet continues in another post. It was allowed to happen. I don't think Ben and Jerry's has an ice cream police division that already figured this out, but maybe they do. It continues. The mostly white insurrectionist roamed freely and without consequence through the heart of our democracy. Well, they did not. One woman was killed. Some people couldn't get in. They must have been on the wrong side of the building, I guess, where they were trying to smash their way in. And the heart of our democracy, that's a bit much. The heart of our democracy is not a building. The heart of our democracy is the Constitution. So I think you got that wrong. And it's not really a democracy. It's a democratic republic. Democratic republic. The republic being the important part of that. Continuing, the only explanation is that it was allowed to happen because they were white, not black, brown, or indigenous people. Jesus, Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, I'm totally out of Ben and Jerry's reading this. The white mob that made its way to the dais at the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate, literally sitting on the chair of the vice president, had been in minutes before, is the ultimate embodiment of white privilege. Wow. Big words. We saw two Americas yesterday. In one America, we saw record voter turnout driven by black voters that resulted in the election of the first black and first Jewish senators from the state of Georgia. Our democracy at its best. That's a weird statement, because it's not because they were black and Jewish that democracy reigned. It would be that it was a fair election. If in fact it was a very fair and completely untarnished election, honk honk, wink wink, I don't know that it was. But I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, yay America. So this is a weird statement from Ben and Jerry's. I think they're really stepping into this, and they should. They want to sell ice cream to anybody other. I guess they don't. I guess they don't care about market share anymore, because I gotta think, if you read this and you're living in Texas, you're gonna say, Ben and Jerry's, I don't think so. In the second America, we saw a mostly white mob encouraged by the president violently invade the seat of our democracy in an attempt to overturn a free and fair election. It was a failed coup, our democracy in peril. Who wrote this? The guys from Slate? Continuing, both of these Americas are us. Black and brown people have long understood this, but they've been exposed to the white tyranny that was on full display at yesterday's riot. Since the founding of our nation, it is the double standard that undergirds white supremacy in our nation. Wow. Full bore woke, Ben and Jerry's. Continuing, both of these Americas are us. How do we respond to the events of yesterday will determine which America we will be. Resign, impeach, 25th Amendment, not one more day. Well, I would say not one more Ben and Jerry's ice cream for me. I really like Ben and Jerry's. They were good ice cream. I enjoyed Chunky Monkey. That was banana with chocolate chunks and the walnuts. And I did enjoy Stephen Colbert's Americone Dream. He had a flavor back when he was doing the Colbert Show. And what was in it? I think strawberries, pieces of waffle, and chocolate. That was good. That was good. But I'm not going to eat any of those ice creams again. Not after the woke people who run your Twitter feed. Jesus, man. That is just too much. In my view, that's over the line. It's just so lefty. So lefty and so judgmental. I don't think most of this tweet is anything, it sounds like critical race theory is what it sounds like to me. And that's fine if you want to believe in that. I think it's utter nonsense. But I think it's utter brand suicide to post this kind of, this is not mainstream opinion. To me, if you're marketing a brand, you want to kind of keep it light. You want to kind of keep it like, the terrible days, the terrible riot and the White House was terrible, and we hope things can get back to normal soon. Something like that. Something very broad and general, like you're not taking a side. This is clearly taking a side. So you could decide to eat Ben & Jerry's if you want. I can't influence you, but, if you're going to boycott something, you got to boycott, the people who believe this stuff. And, I think in the long run, boycotting a particular product eventually sends the right message. Eventually sends the message to these brands like, stay out of politics, the brands that are really over the top. And you could judge by, whichever one of these you don't like, or if you like them all, I don't care. But to me, the Ben & Jerry's one, and I had stopped eating Ben & Jerry's, a few years ago, but like it was still on my list. Like I thought about buying it probably last week when I was in the store. I thought about getting some, just as a fun treat. But now I'm crossing it off my list. This is just too much. Really too woke. Too much divisiveness. I don't need this in my ice cream. And Sargon had a great take on this on the Lotus Eaters. It's like, oh, really, ice cream merchant? For me, I'll go local with the ice cream. I live in South Jersey, and there's a lot of local, delicious places. I don't need a major corporation or whatever you are to lecture me. And so that's where I stand on Ben & Jerry's. I'm out of Ben & Jerry's.